All right, so the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, he was doing an interview the other day with CBS News, and he made quite a wild claim about some proposed tax changes for most American taxpayers. So we've got a short clip here, have a listen, and then look at some of the IRS data on this and see what the impact would be for the average American taxpayer and what it would mean for federal revenue collections.
How about no tax on tips? How about no tax on overtime? How about no Social Security? How about all those things? These are the kind of thoughts that will change America. I know what his goal is. No tax for anybody who makes less than $150,000 a year. That's his goal. And that's what I'm working for. How about no tax?
All right, so there you hear it. No taxes on anybody earning $150,000 a year or less. And so, as he said there, it would be not just no income taxes, but potentially no payroll taxes as well. So, for those of you that see those deductions from your paycheck every week or month, however often it is you get paid, you've got the Social Security coming out of there, you've got the Medicare coming out of there. And so this proposal is, well, if you make $150,000 a year or less, you would see no deductions for anything related to federal income tax withholding or any of those payroll taxes. So now that's quite a lofty proposition. Whether it actually happens or not, who knows, right? It's like a lot of things that kind of, whatever the administration is, whatever they say, very often it's only a grain of truth as to what actually comes to fruition. But if we have a look at some of the IRS data, because I think it'll help illustrate what the total impact on this might be. So the IRS publishes all this data. Now there's a bit of a lag on it. So when you look at return data, it's usually a couple of years behind because it takes them a while to compile all these all this data and then actually publish it to their website. But what they do have is, if we look at our 2022 data, so they've got a variety of different Excel worksheets with a plethora of information in there. But this one, I think, does a good job at summarizing kind of what the income ranges are for returns that are filed with the IRS, individual returns that is, and what the income ranges are, and then the taxes collected. So on the left-hand side here, we can see we have the AGI, or adjusted gross income ranges. And so it starts off from you're filing a return and you have no AGI, 1 to 5,000, 5 to 10, and it goes all the way up to 10 million or more in income. And so if we look at the number of returns filed, for example, there were 34,000 returns filed in 2022 where taxpayers reported $10 million or more in income. So quite the high earners up there. But if you scroll across, so they've got a variety of columns here, but the ones that we want to kind of focus in on are the income tax after credits, right? So income tax, if you think of it visually, you're looking at your return, you calculate the amount of income you have, then you apply any tax credits that help reduce that amount of taxes owed, and then you've got a final income tax balance. That's your liability, right, based on your return. So we can see here, again, this is for the 2022 tax year, and these are just estimates, right? They've put together, all the information submitted to the IRS, but we can see that across all of these returns, now these dollar amounts are in thousands. So this figure here shows that total income tax after credits for 2022 for individual returns was $2 trillion, right? So a little over $2 trillion. And then you can see the amount of income tax within each AGI range. And so notice it doesn't go to 150, right? So let's say they go really generous with it for argument's sake, and it's anybody under 200 grand doesn't pay any federal income tax. Well, if we look at the amount of tax from within this range and then add up all of these above, the total amount of taxes that would be collected, let's say for 2022, this total figure is about $675 billion. So if they were to do away with income taxes for anybody making 200,000 or less, let's call it 675 billion in federal income tax would go away. Now the remainder there, right, the 2 trillion minus the 675, that would arguably still stay in place because these are the high income earners, right? They're not exempting them. from income taxes. So if you add up all of those revenues, you're left with a difference of the $1.4 trillion. So it would be a massive cut to federal revenue collected if they decide to make all of this income under a threshold like that not subject to federal income taxes. Now, also remember, this only covers the income tax, right? Not the payroll taxes. So that's a completely separate worksheet. They do have a good summary table here, which we can have a look at. So they've got 2022 and 2023 side by side. And we can see here gross collections for 2022 was $4.9 trillion, and that's across business income taxes. So we can see that's the corporate income tax. So if you're a corporation filing a Form 1120, the collections from corporations were $474 billion in 2022, and then we have another $1.4 billion from nonprofits, so tax-exempt orgs that have UBTI. So tax-exempt organizations generally don't have to pay any income taxes, but if they have any unrelated business income tax, they pay corporate income taxes on that, on those earnings. So 4.9 trillion collected, and then we can also see the breakdown here, right? In the individual and estate trust and income tax bucket, we have the individual income taxes, so the withholding plus the payments, estate and trust. So 2.9 trillion in taxes paid from individuals. And then the other one is the employment taxes. So this was that second component that the Commerce Secretary was talking about was, well, we don't want to just maybe have no income taxes on your earnings, federal income taxes, that is. We also maybe want to exempt a lot of your wages from employment taxes. So we can see them separated out there. So the FICA, that's if you're an employee, you have the FICA taxes taken out of your paycheck, and then your employer has to pay a matching contribution generally. And then we have the SECA, so the self-employment taxes. So if you're a sole proprietorship and you're doing a Schedule C, you see that you have the Schedule SE for your self-employment tax computation. That's that figure. So they've got $73 billion was collected from federal self-employment taxes. And then you can see these figures up here, right? 1.4 trillion total across all of these two. And then unemployment insurance, so that's federal unemployment insurance. Employers pay that, the employee doesn't. And then collections related to railroad retirement benefits. So a lot of taxes here, right? So estate and gift taxes, $33 billion, right? So some very wealthy people passed away in 2022 and owed some money, so $28.9 billion in estate taxes, and then gift tax returns. So those are the Forms 709, where there was a gift tax that was required to be paid, was $4.4 billion for 2022. So yeah, some real big changes that could happen if a provision like that actually goes through to exempt income up to $150K from not just the federal income taxes, but also these FICA taxes would be quite significant. All right, so that covers it for this update. Yeah, again, nothing concrete yet. It was just Howard Lutnick doing an interview, saying what they propose they might try to get pushed through. Whether or not that actually happens will be left to be seen. So we'll keep monitoring it, and then if there's any headway, if there's an actual bill put forth in Congress that outlines maybe some of those provisions, then we'll look up the bill and cover it and give you a new update. But for now, that's all we've got. So I hope that was informative. And as always, I appreciate you watching and look forward to seeing you on the next update. Thank you.